Welcome back, everyone. This is Isaac. I'm back on the couch with another review. So today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Thunderbolts. Just got back from seeing it in theater, so I'm going to give my thoughts and then my rating at the end. There'll be a few spoilers, but nothing too big. But if you haven't seen the movie, go check it out first and then come back and check out my review. So again, a little bit of spoilers ahead, but nothing too major. So let's get into it. So this will be my first review of a Marvel Studios MCU movie on this account, and so I dressed for the occasion, having my Marvel shirt, my X-Men Xavier School for the Gifted Young hat. So I wanted to dress for the occasion. So for those who don't know, the Thunderbolts are a group of characters who appeared previously in other Marvel properties, TV shows and movies, such as Bucky Barnes, who of course is the Winter Soldier. You have Ghost from the Ant-Man movies. You have John Walker, aka U.S. Agent from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show. You have Taskmaster from the Black Widow movie, and you also have the Red Guardian and Yelena Belova, who are also from the Black Widow movie. So you have a big group of characters who come from these different franchises, and this is the first time they're all going to be teaming up together. And so you have all of these kind of pre-established characters that we've known and seen before, and then they introduce a new character named Bob, who they've been very secretive about, even in the promos and trailers. I think some people kind of already deduced which character he was going to play, but for the most part, they kind of kept his character out of the trailers and out of the commercials. And so when we're introduced to him, it's still kind of a mystery about who he is and just like the nature of what he is to the team and his nature to Valentina. But we end up finding out a lot about his character. A few spoilers ahead. I will say that he plays a pretty integral part of the movie. He plays a character that has like a very deep history in the Marvel comics. And so people who know about his character and know about his history, I think they'll be excited to see him like finally portrayed on the screen. But I do think they did it in a way where it was interesting and they kind of made him a fun new addition to the Marvel universe. And so, with that premise, you also have the return of Julia Louis Dreyfus, who plays Valentina De Fontaine, who's the director of the CIA, and she's kind of the person who's been pulling all the strings behind the scenes for several movies and TV shows. And we knew she was kind of leading up to something, and so we find out that she's been working on a secret project, basically to create her own superhero, super soldier kind of serum, and she's been experimenting on humans. And once Yelena and the other Thunderbolts find out about this, they have to decide whether they want to try to stop her or whether they just want to kind of run and hide because she's trying to get rid of them because they have knowledge of all the stuff that she's been doing. And so I think it was very interesting to see how these characters kind of interact with each other. I would say like most of these characters aren't what you would call like friendly or lovable. Even in the movie, they make reference to John Walker being an asshole. So it's kind of funny just you're supposed to root for these characters, but at the same time, they're not very heroic. They're not very lovable. But they do. By the end of the movie, you do kind of root for them, and I think that's kind of the hallmark of one of these kind of movies where you kind of see everybody come together and you actually do start to pull for them. And I think they successfully pulled that aspect off. So I think Bob was fun. Of course, you have Florence Pugh who plays Yelena. I think she carries the movie. Um, she is mostly like the heart in the movie and the character that we connect to the most. And I think because she has like such a tragic backstory, and then of course with her losing her sister, who is the Black Widow that we all know, that kind of like pulls you into her story, and she really is like the emotional core of the movie. And her relationship with Alexei, and him being her dad, but him also still want to relive his superhero days as the Red Guardian. There's their whole dynamic, and then there's also Bucky, who, this is our first time seeing him as a U.S. congressman, and he's kind of put his life back together, and we're seeing him in this official capacity where, he's going to congressional hearings, and he's trying to, I guess, live more of a normal life, but at the same time, he's still being pulled into the superhero dynamics, and it's like he can never fully escape that life. And honestly, I think for Bucky, he doesn't actually want to leave that life. I think he does want to make something of himself, but he just doesn't know what to do. And so we kind of see him struggling with that in this movie. But overall, I think Bucky was a fun addition to this movie. I think having his character be like our connection to like the previous iterations of the MCU, that kind of helps bring these new characters along, because we have this old connection to the old Avengers, and then we have this new cast of characters, and Bucky is kind of at the center of both of them. So I think having Bucky there helped. I think him and Yelena, they were kind of the core of the like the emotional beats in this movie, and then we had all the fun additions. I think David Harbour, he killed it as Red Guardian. I think he was more of the comedic aspect of the film, and he just has like a natural charm to him that makes you want to root for him. And even though his Russian accent is kind of ridiculous, I think it works for him and it works for the character. And so even with Ghost, I think we got to see like a little bit of her, in the Ant-Man movies, but this is our first time like getting to see her like in a starring role, and I think that she added a lot to the movie, especially with her powers and the way she's able to kind of disappear in and out of scenes and buildings. I think her character was good. So yeah, overall, I like the team up. There are a few surprises towards the end. I think people who kind of know the comic book lore could kind of guess where Marvel is going. So yeah, overall, I like the team up. There are a few surprises towards the end. I think people who kind of know the comic book lore could kind of guess where Marvel is going with this team, but for people who don't know, there'll be like a little bit of a surprise. And of course, there's like a after credit scene, and then there's a second scene after the credits. So definitely stick around for both of those because they kind of hint towards what's coming next towards the MCU. I think overall this movie was fun. It kind of harkens back to the early days of the MCU where you had a lot more practical effects, a lot more practical stunts. The humor, while there was some jokes in there and there were some comedic moments, it wasn't overdone. It wasn't over the top. I would give it 3.5 out of 5. Um, I think it was a fun time. It was very straightforward, a good popcorn movie. I think it's kind of like a refreshing, change of pace from what we've seen from the MCU for the last couple of years. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do next with these characters. Obviously, they have the Avengers movie coming up, and a lot of these characters have been announced to reprise their roles. So we'll see how they'll fit into the larger MCU. But this was a little fun one-off movie, and I did have fun.